$30 million divorce? Deal. The first thing my husband did after losing his memory? Slapped me with a $30 million check to force divorce papers. I tearfully accepted, then tossed him and his sweet college sweetheart out of our mansion. Naked. He gaped at me. Wait, you never said you owned the place? I smiled. 3 years of free service. You're welcome. But the real story was just beginning. Because the next day, a detective showed up with chilling news. Someone had been carving souvenirs from our freezer.
Welcome to Twilight's novel. Subscribe the channel now and unlock 100 romance novels for free.
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
I was completely stunned when I received the news about Eric's car accident. I ran 2 red lights rushing to the hospital. Just as I reached the ward door, I heard a woman's heart-wrenching sobs inside. My blood ran cold. Had my husband died? Tears welled up uncontrollably in my eyes. My limbs went weak as I slowly pushed the door open and entered. Honey, you died so tragically. Perhaps my wailing was too loud. The crying woman suddenly stopped. She raised her head, revealing a face with smeared makeup from crying. On the hospital bed, Eric looked at me in shock. His forehead wrapped in thick bandages. His face slightly pale, but clearly alive. Honey, you're not dead yet? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Eric's eyes widened even more. Oh, he could still glare. Seemed like he wasn't seriously injured. I quietly sighed in relief. But then Eric's impatient voice rang in my ears. Who are you, lady? Lady? After 3 years of marriage. He had only ever called me baby or wife, occasionally sister in bed. Now he was calling me lady? My voice trembled slightly. What did you just call me? The woman seized the opportunity to speak in a sickly sweet tone. Miss, you must have the wrong room. She deliberately snuggled closer into Eric's arms. There's only my boyfriend here. No one's husband. To my shock, Eric immediately tightened his embrace around her. Rage shot from my feet straight to the top of my head. Cheating on me right in front of my face? Might as well have died in that car crash. Count of 3, let go now. I glared at Eric through gritted teeth. 1. Eric held her even tighter. 2. The woman planted a kiss on Eric's cheek. 3. They started passionately kissing as if no one else was present. Slap, 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 slap. The sound of my palms striking flesh echoed through the ward. I rained blows on Eric's face from both sides, taking advantage of his momentary daze. I grabbed the woman's long hair and yanked her away. Ah! Eric, save me! She screamed, flailing her arms wildly. Eric suddenly erupted in violence. With a ferocity I'd never seen before, he shoved me hard. Thud! My lower back slammed into the metal frame of the hospital bed. The excruciating pain made black spots dance before my eyes. Eric didn't even glance at me. Instead, he carefully cradled Lucy's face, gently wiping her tears with his thumb. Don't be afraid, Lucy, I'm here. So this was Lucy, Eric's first love. Lucy lifted her face, tears still clinging to her lashes. Her trembling fingers lightly touched Eric's swollen cheek. Her voice full of concern. Eric, I'm fine. Does it hurt? They embraced tightly. I almost felt bad interrupting, even though I was Eric's legal wife. The doctor explained to me. Eric had suffered a head injury causing retrograde amnesia, with his memories stuck 4 years in the past. Back then, we truly hadn't known each other. He and his first love were still inseparable. As for how long the amnesia would last, it depended on how the blood clots resolved. Could be weeks, could be years. I took a deep breath and pushed the ward door open again. Eric immediately tensed up when he saw me. He shielded Lucy behind him defensively. What do you want now? I clenched my fists, reminding myself silently. He has amnesia, he doesn't mean it. But I was still furious. I couldn't take it anymore. So I pulled out my phone and smashed it against his face. Take a good look at who I am. You fucking... He instinctively moved to throw the phone aside. But in that instant, he caught sight of the screen. Our marriage certificate. Eric's eyes widened in disbelief. This can't be. He frantically swiped through the photos. All pictures of us together, including countless love confession videos he'd made for me. After about 15 minutes of scrolling, Eric finally accepted reality. He looked up at me with complicated emotions in his eyes. Why? Don't I remember any of this? Lucy peeked out from behind him, giving me a disdainful once-over. Even if you're married, who knows what shady tricks you used? Eric's eyes lit up at her words. Right. I couldn't have agreed willingly. I want a divorce. I raised an eyebrow in surprise. The wedding ring still gleamed on his finger. You're sure about this? Without hesitation, Eric clasped Lucy's hand. Interlacing their fingers, his expression resolute. His voice rang out firm and clear. I've only ever loved Lucy. I would never marry you willingly. You must have forced me. Lucy looked ready to cry from emotion. Eric, you're the only one in my heart too. They gazed into each other's eyes, the chemistry palpable. I couldn't help but snort with laughter. Eric glared at me angrily. Name your price. We're getting divorced immediately. I sighed. Under these circumstances, there was no other way. Honestly, Eric's stamina had been declining lately anyway. I'd been wanting to replace him for a while. Only my sense of morality had stopped me from speaking up. Over these 3 years, Eric had worked hard, I'll give him that. Managing company affairs by day, finding new ways to please me by night. I'm not a stingy person. So I made my offer, $100 million. Before Eric could react, Lucy jumped in first. Her eyes nearly popped out of her head. Lady, have you lost your mind? Why not just rob a bank? Her gaze fell on my limited edition handbag. Burning with jealousy. Women like you are a dime a dozen, gold diggers living off men. Me? Living off him? I nearly burst out laughing. Did I say something wrong? She shrilled, that designer bag. Didn't you buy it with Eric's money? I regarded her with amusement. What amount would you suggest then? 50 million. Her eyes darted around before she suddenly raised her pitch. 30 million maximum. I arched an eyebrow. Bargaining in reverse. How generous. Deal. I agreed readily. Lucy clearly hadn't expected such quick acceptance. She hesitated, then added. Cash only. Don't even think about Eric's properties or company shares. His properties? Let me think. That tiny 30-square-meter apartment in the suburbs? Smaller than my bathroom. Wouldn't dream of it. I waved dismissively. She eyed me suspiciously. Then whispered urgently in Eric's ear. My sharp ears caught key phrases. Company VP. Mansion. Net worth billions. Eric's eyes grew brighter with each word. Finally, he looked at me with contempt. 30 million. What a ripoff. Take the money and get lost. Never show your face again. I blinked, suddenly realizing his misunderstanding. He thought he was giving me 30 million? What an unexpected windfall. Perhaps fearing I'd change my mind. Lucy insisted on signing immediately. Within half an hour, Attorney Chen rushed to the ward. When his gaze landed on me, his lips parted as if to say something. Eve. You're Attorney Chen? Lucy cut in sharply, her plucked eyebrows rising. Draft a divorce agreement for Mr. Eric right now. Divorce papers? Attorney Chen's gaze moved past Lucy to me. I gave a slight nod. Do as they say. Attorney Chen, ever the consummate professional, quickly masked his surprise and pulled out his laptop. The clacking of keys sounded unusually crisp in the quiet ward. Lucy practically draped herself over the screen, stabbing at it with manicured nails. Right here that she gets 30 million compensation. All other assets remain Mr. Eric's property. Attorney Chen's fingers hovered over the keyboard, his Adam's apple bobbing. Mr. Eric compensates Eve. I coughed lightly. Attorney Chen paused, rephrasing. Compensates Ms. Evelyn with 30 million? Eric impatiently tugged at his bandages. Just write it. Hurry up. The corner of Attorney Chen's mouth twitched almost imperceptibly. But he complied. The moment the documents were ready. Eric couldn't sign fast enough. I took my time, carefully writing each stroke of my signature. Before the ink had dried, Lucy snatched the papers, clutching them to her chest. Great, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. So eager? I glanced at Eric's bandaged head. In his condition. Is that possible? Possible. Of course. Eric practically leaped from the hospital bed. I can be discharged now. 1 month later, I received $30 million and the divorce certificate. Lucy beamed from ear to ear. She leaned close, whispering just for me. Thank you for taking care of Eric all these years. Her eyes gleamed with triumph. He's back where he belongs now. She turned and walked back into the Civil Affairs Bureau with Eric. I chuckled softly, tossing the divorce certificate carelessly into my bag. Around the corner, a black Maybach waited quietly by the curb. Attorney Chen stood beside it, opening the door with a bow as I approached. Miss Evelyn, all documents are prepared. When Attorney Chen handed me the laptop, a slideshow began automatically. Photos and transaction records flashed before my eyes. Turns out they'd reconnected at a class reunion 6 months prior. They'd been brazen about it. At the office. In cars. Even in the marital bed Eric and I shared. No wonder. I'd wondered why Eric's performance had declined so suddenly these past months. So that was why. Just thinking about it made my stomach churn. Thankfully my medical check came back clean. Using my money to fund his affair with his ex. Eric truly had some nerve. Attorney Chen adjusted his glasses, pulling up another file. There's more unusual accounting entries over the past 3 quarters, several large sums unaccounted for. All projects Mr. Eric approved. I looked out the window. At the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance, Eric was slipping a wedding ring onto Lucy's finger. I smirked, leaning back slowly in the plush seat. Let's go settle accounts. My marriage to Eric had been accidental. That day, my father threw a tantrum at dinner, threatening to cut me off unless I married. In our social circle, few men stayed faithful. Just imagining maintaining a facade of marital bliss while secretly dealing with mistresses made my head throb. Whatever. Carpe diem. Time to party first. At Nightfall Bar, I sipped my drink absently when a figure in the corner booth caught my eye. Eric wore a faded white shirt, the collar slightly open, revealing pale skin. Utterly out of place amidst the revelry. The way his Adam's apple moved when he drank. More alluring than any male model on stage. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Several girls with dramatic smoky eyes closed in. Anxious, I pushed past them, claiming the seat beside him first. He looked up startled, his clear eyes hazy with alcohol. My fingertip traced his knuckles. His muscles tensed instantly. I chuckled. Handsome, single? He lowered his lashes, shadows masking his pain. I am now. Before the words faded, he downed another shot. How interesting. A freshly abandoned puppy is easiest to train. That night I sat beside him, watching him drink himself into oblivion. From his fragmented words, I learned his first love had left him for a professor, trading sex for academic favors. Finally, he staggered drunkenly into my arms. Smirking, I loosened his collar, my palm encountering taut abs. Beneath that scholarly exterior lay such delightful surprises. I deliberately left a mark on his collarbone. Next morning, Eric bolted upright in bed. He frantically grabbed a pillow to cover his nakedness, his ears burning red. Did I? You ruined my $20,000 rug. I handed him honey lemon water. I'll pay for it. His flustered expression was adorable. Perhaps I'd fallen for his looks. We met more frequently after that, the heat in his gaze intensifying each time. When my father fell critically ill, Eric pulled a simple silver ring from his pocket and proposed, promising to cherish me forever. He even signed a prenup before my father. Dad died smiling. For 3 years, Eric played his part perfectly. Daily morning kisses without fail, never missing an anniversary. During my periods, he'd cancel meetings to brew ginger tea. If only I hadn't caught that unfamiliar perfume 6 months ago, I might have believed this could last. Pity. Once paper is stained, it must be discarded. As the car entered the Villa district, Dappled shadows from plane trees danced across the windows. Returning to this place we'd called home after a month felt strangely unfamiliar. After deciding to divorce Eric, I'd had housekeeper Mrs. Smith pack my things overnight, not wanting to trigger his memories. We were still in the cooling-off period. What if Eric suddenly remembered and changed his mind? I'd even doubled the staff's pay to keep up the charade. Never expected such acting talent. Mr. Eric this, Madam that. Playing them like fiddles. Actually believing they owned the villa. Thinking 30 million was a steal. They scrambled to gather the funds, terrified I'd back out. Rumor had it Eric emptied his accounts. Even sold that tiny suburban apartment. Lucy borrowed heavily too. Just imagining their expressions. I could hardly wait. Pulling out my phone, I called Mrs. Smith. The sound of slippers slapping urgently came through. Miss Evelyn. Mrs. Smith appeared breathless, a wooden spoon still in her apron pocket. You're back at last. Her eyes shone with unshed tears. Stepping inside, I was assaulted by garish Taubach chic decor. The elegant grey carpet replaced with screaming pink. Custom chiffon drapes gone. In their place, Barbie pink velvet with glittering sequins. Ruffled sofa covers everywhere. Made my eye twitch. Miss Lucy redecorated, said mansion should look the part. Mrs. Smith followed my gaze, whispering explanations. I couldn't bear to look. Where are they? Upstairs, couldn't wait to. Before I could respond, a clatter sounded behind me. Turning, I found Mrs. Smith brandishing a mop, eyes gleaming. Miss Evelyn now? She gripped the handle tightly, as if awaiting my command to charge. The other staff looked equally eager. Auntie Lee from the kitchen waved a rolling pin dusted with flour. Housekeeper Zhang snipped garden shears open and shut. Miss Evelyn, we're ready. They chorused. Wait, why were they more eager than me? Later I learned Lucy had tormented them relentlessly. Under my employ. 9 to 5. Weekends off. Frequent vacations. Lucy demanded round-the-clock service. She abused everyone equally. Needing escorts to the bathroom at 3 a.m. Making staff pick up items inches from her feet. Insisting each soybean for her morning grind be hand-inspected. They hated her more than I did. Halfway up the stairs, Lucy's theatrical moans reached me. Eric. Right there. Each cry more exaggerated than the last. Dragged out vowels. Fake tremors. I wrinkled my nose. Such terrible acting. Eric's years of business drinking had taken their toll downstairs. Last time we'd been together, he'd needed little blue pills. Lasted barely a song's length. Watching the undulating shadows now, I almost pitied Lucy. Must be exhausting work. With one final shriek, I smirked and kicked the door open. Bang! The couple froze mid-act, staring at me in unison. Lucy's cries cut off, her face contorted in shock. As for Eric, he went soft. Slowly, I raised my phone, the shutter clicks deafening. Hello there. I flashed a perfect 8-teeth smile. This scream sounded genuine. Lucy scrambled for scattered clothes, managing only to grab a sheer nightgown. Eric desperately clutched the bedsheet. Priceless. Absolutely priceless. Lucy glared daggers at me. Evelyn, what are you doing here? You're divorced. Her chest heaved violently, one strap slipping to reveal reddened skin. This is my house. Why wouldn't I be here? I spun my phone idly, noticing the pillbox on the nightstand. Just as I'd thought. Still needs chemical assistance. You signed the agreement. Get out. She hurled a pillow at me. I sidestepped easily. It hit the wall with a dull thud. Missed me. This enraged Lucy further. She shook Eric's limp arm. Eric, say something. Eric finally snapped out of his daze. His Adam's apple bobbed, disgust replacing shock. What are you doing here? We're divorced. The veins on his temple bulged. Get out before I call security. Then call them. I gestured magnanimously, my smile widening. Lucy shrieked for Mrs. Smith, her tone dripping with entitlement. Instantly, Mrs. Smith charged in with reinforcements. Their eyes gleamed with anticipation. "Mrs. Smith? Why'd you bring?" Lucy shrank back instinctively, clutching the sheet tighter. Forgetting Eric clung to the other end. Her yank left Eric fully exposed. Gasps filled the room. Someone whispered, "So tiny." Eric's face cycled through shades of purple. He grabbed a corner of sheet to cover himself. "Mrs. Smith, remove this bitch now." "Yes, Mr. Eric." Mrs. Smith chirped, her wrinkles crinkling merrily. Then, she yanked Lucy clean off the bed. Lucy shrieked like a stuck pig. "Mrs. Smith, what are you, Eric, help." Eric seemed equally frantic. Bare before a room full of middle-aged women. Even with me snapping photos. He cupped himself protectively. "Mrs. Smith, you're fired. Stop this." No one listened. Eric lunged for his clothes, but my stiletto found his hand first. I ground my heel slowly. Eric gasped in pain. "Ah, stop." Only when his fingers spasmed did I relent. Mrs. Smith efficiently gathered every scrap of clothing. Even the socks. All purchased with my money. Housekeeper Zhang stripped Lucy's nightgown too. Also mine. You. Eric trembled violently, pointing weakly. I surveyed the bedroom's gaudy transformation. Disgusting pink glitter wallpaper. Their wedding portrait over the bed. This house was tainted. I sighed internally. Another renovation needed. "Mrs. Smith." My voice echoed sharply. Mrs. Smith released Lucy's hair instantly, standing at attention, eyes shining. "Miss Evelyn, your orders? Throw them out." "Yes, ma'am." Lucy's screams crescendoed. "Evelyn, I'll call the police. This is trespassing." "Ah, Mrs. Smith." The pair landed unceremoniously on the curb. Eric struggled upright, his eyes bloodshot with rage. "You're all fired. How dare you throw out your employers?" I laughed coldly. Pulling documents from my bag, I flung them at his face. "Eric, did the amnesia damage your brain? This is my house." He scanned the papers. Disbelief dawning. "No. Impossible. The company?" His voice held desperate hope. "Mine too." I hooked a finger under his chin, forcing eye contact. "You married into my family, Eric." My gaze dropped meaningfully. Tisk. Men's primes are so short. Good thing we divorced. Time for an upgrade. Watching Eric's face drain of color, I added kindly. "Oh, I'd planned to give you 100 million. Pity your wife refused and paid me instead." I fluttered the check before his eyes. "Thanks ever so." Eric collapsed like a puppet with cut strings. Lucy shook him violently. "Eric, she's lying, right?" Her voice cracked with tears. Smack. Eric suddenly lashed out. The slap sent Lucy sprawling. She clutched her cheek, stunned. "You hit me. I had amnesia. You told me I was rich. Said I had billions. That she was dumb for taking 30 million. Eric's voice rose hysterically. Lucy matched his frenzy. "You bragged about being VP. How was I to know you were a kept man?" Her mascara streaked grotesquely. "We're ruined. Completely ruined." Eric tore at his hair. Lucy rounded on him. "What about me? I sold everything for that 30 million. You claim to love me. Why does money matter? Liar. You've destroyed me." She launched herself at Eric. They tumbled across the pavement. Mrs. Smith brought a chair with velvet cushions. I sat gracefully, accepting tea and pastries. Enjoying the spectacle. Lucy clutched a bedsheet corner with one hand, the other raking Eric's face. Eric focused solely on preserving his modesty. How considerate. That silk duvet had been custom-made in Hangzhou. Quite expensive actually. My dog rather liked it. Wouldn't do to have it ruined. So I had Mrs. Smith retrieve it. She timed it perfectly. The duvet arced gracefully, landing neatly folded in her arms. Now they were truly exposed. Eric looked up pleadingly. "After everything. Couldn't you?" "Nope." I sipped my tea. Mrs. Smith slammed the door, leaving them scrambling naked on the street. 1 week later, Eric's voice greeted me at the office entrance. dressed impeccably in a suit, hair perfectly styled. The very image of the confident executive. "Are you blind? I'm the VP here." He berated the security guards, who pointed to a new sign. "Eric and Dogs Prohibited," complete with his photo. Hehe. My design team's handiwork. "See this, Mr. Eric? Direct orders from Ms. Evelyn." The guard's voice carried across the lobby. Several employees stifled laughs. "Because of you, my dog can't even pee here anymore. Know your place, boy toy." "You!" Eric raised a fist. But the guard's bulging muscles gave him pause. I chuckled. The guard spotted me, snapping to attention. "Miss Evelyn." His badge gleamed proudly. "Good work. Collect your bonus." "Thank you, ma'am." He grinned smugly at Eric. As I turned to leave, Eric scrambled forward. "Evelyn, let's remarry." I blinked. Had I heard correctly? He continued woodenly. "Though I lost my memory, feelings can grow. You win, you can have me now." He swallowed hard. "I'll treat you right." I laughed uproariously. Eric's face darkened. "Have me." My gaze lingered on his softening waistline. "You." His back straightened. "All this was just to win me back, wasn't it?" His tone grew confident. "I know you love me. Name your terms. I'll play hard to get if you want." My brain short-circuited. Such delusional arrogance. Had the blood clots addled his brain? Then I spotted movement behind him. Changed my mind. "What about Lucy?" I smiled sweetly. Eric mistook it for jealousy. He eagerly reassured me. "Just knew you still cared. Don't worry, she disgusts me now." His face twisted. Turns out she'd slept around used goods. "So, Evelyn, may I come in now?" He adjusted his tie smugly. I pointed behind him. "Ask her." Eric turned pale. "You followed me?" Lucy stood there trembling. Her clothes wrinkled, bruises visible. "You bastard. You drugged me. Made me." Her voice broke. Before finishing, she launched herself at Eric. From her fragmented accusations, I pieced together that Eric had sold her to finance his suit. Ha! Reprehensible. 2 weeks later, Attorney Chen completed the embezzlement case. The company underwent complete restructuring. Anyone connected to Eric was terminated. Barring unforeseen circumstances, prison awaited Eric. Yet somehow, he found me again. My driver was off today, so I drove myself. In the parking garage, as I walked toward the elevators, a familiar figure emerged from the shadows. Eric wore that same faded white shirt, now threadbare, clinging to his gaunt frame. For a moment, he resembled the boy I'd first met. But his sunken eyes burned with madness. He advanced step by step. Then suddenly, thud, he collapsed to his knees. "Wife, I was wrong." I instinctively stepped back. Something was off. Eric looked wounded. "Wife, I remember everything now. Forgive me. How could I forget you?" Tears splashed the concrete, seemingly genuine. Then he began slapping himself violently. The sharp cracks echoed through the garage. His cheeks swelled instantly. Blood trickled from his split lip onto the white fabric. Yet his eyes grew brighter. My back prickled with cold sweat. My hand crept toward my bag. Just as my fingers brushed my phone, Eric lunged. The phone shattered against the pavement. Before I could react, he pinned me against the wall. His fingers traced my cheekbone lovingly. I noticed dried blood under his nails. Ice shot down my spine. My heart threatened to burst. Yet Eric nuzzled my neck affectionately. "Wife, let's start over." I forced my voice steady. "Okay. Do you forgive me?" His fingers skimmed my collarbone. I nodded mechanically, biting my lip hard. "Let's go home." Eric smiled, gently kissing my forehead as he used to. But his voice turned icy. "Wife, why are you trembling?" Eric suddenly choked me. Madness consumed his eyes. "You did this. I wouldn't be like this if not for you." Black spots danced in my vision. His rant continued distantly. "Think I didn't know about the bodyguards? You expected this. Whore. Die. I didn't struggle. Conserving energy for the right moment. Eric tightened his grip. My spine cracked against the wall. But my fingers found the stun gun. Just then, zap. Blue electricity arced through the air. Eric's body convulsed violently. His grip slackened. I overbalanced, my stiletto finding its mark between his legs. Ag! His scream echoed through the garage. Eric passed out from pain. Post-divorce precautions. That cattle-grade stun gun had been worth every penny. The garage lights flickered on. Security approached. Only then did I notice my soaked blouse. Police arrived with grim news. Eric had murdered someone. 3 days prior, during an argument with Lucy. They'd found her dismembered in his freezer, neatly packaged like supermarket meat. Eric demanded to see me in custody. Evelyn will save me, he'd ranted. I declined. Sent Attorney Chen with psychiatric evaluations, proving him sane. On execution day, I returned alone to Nightfall Bar, staring at that fateful corner booth. For one fleeting moment, the boy in the white shirt raised his glass to me. But when I blinked, the seat stood empty. Some people, once corrupted by greed, can never return to who they were.